Thanks to our title sponsor, Humana, we're able to dedicate today's show to highlighting veterans and honoring them, those who are here in our community. Aaron McCoy is one of those. He's a U.S. Army veteran, is now the Regional Veteran Executive for Humana. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us this morning. First of all, when did you serve? What was your service like? And also, why did you serve?
Well, thanks for having me on, Angie. And I served in the U.S. Army on active duty from 2007 to 2010. And then I also served in the National Guard while I lived in Florida from 2010 to 2015. So served for a little over 8 years in total as an infantryman. Very proud of the fact that I was able to serve our country in the U.S. Army. And, my grandfather served in the Navy. Both my grandfathers served in the Navy, and the opportunity to serve my country, and also understanding that my experience in the military and the Army was going to provide me with skills to be successful after I transition out of the military, were a couple of the reasons that I decided to join the military and to join the Army and to serve. And I'm very proud of that, and continue to work with veterans in my current role at Humana.
I mean, that is an absolutely wonderful kind of transition because, I mean, you are a veteran. And so working with people who know what they've gone through. I mean, it has to be just a wonderful relationship there. And while we're honoring veterans today here on Great Day Live, again, thanks to Humana for being our title sponsor. Humana supports veterans all year round. Aaron, can you explain what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm lucky enough in my role to work on a team, the veteran channel at Humana, that's, really focuses on serving and working with veterans nationally and in our communities throughout the years, throughout the year. And there's a variety of ways that we do that. We have some great relationships with some of the larger veteran service organizations. So we've had official relationships with the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the VFW, that is, American Veterans, also known as AMVETS, since 2012. And we work on things that impact veterans and their communities. So when you think of things like food insecurity among veterans, we've worked over the years with the VFW in our Uniting to Combat Hunger campaign to address food insecurity among veterans. And across the country, we've raised over 1.5 million meals, not just for veterans, but for the communities that our veterans live in and serve. We've worked with the VFW, we've worked through social isolation, which is another determinant of health, to understand that social isolation is something that impacts veterans and their families. And we've created resources and tools and conducted surveys of veterans to better understand some of the issues that they face in the community. Humana is also a commemorative partner of the Vietnam War Commemoration, which is a Department of Defense program that was started to honor, recognize, welcome home, and thank Vietnam veterans. And in Louisville, we've actually hosted Vietnam War pinning ceremonies at our neighborhood center in Louisville to recognize and honor and thank those Vietnam era veterans for their service and sacrifice to the country. And then within Humana, maybe why I'm lucky enough to have a position here is we've continued to have a focus on hiring veterans and military spouses. And since 2011, have hired well over 5,000 veterans and military spouses and continue to focus on doing that.
Aaron, last question for you. As a veteran yourself, why is it important for all of us? I mean, I want that unique perspective that you have as a veteran. I mean, why is it important for all of us to make sure that not just on this day, but always that we are honoring our veterans who are with us?
You mentioned earlier that as a veteran, there's some shared experience that veterans have with one another and can understand some of the things that maybe we've encountered. But there's a lot of sacrifices that are made, not just by veterans, but by their families. So thinking of military spouses and children as well, and understanding the sacrifices they've made, whether that's through deployments, whether that's through being away from their family, and all the other things that they had to encounter at that time. It's important to recognize that throughout the year whenever you have the opportunity to do that. So while this opportunity here during Veterans Day week gives us the opportunity to recognize those local veterans, it's something that's, I think, is really important to try to do throughout the year if we can.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron, not only for taking the time, but for your service as well. To learn more about how Humana is helping veterans, visit humana.com/Medicare/veterans-benefits.